Most people never discover the one thing that separates winners from wanderers. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even hard work. It's a mental shift so simple that millions overlook it daily, yet so powerful that it has built empires, birthed inventions, and turned penniless dreamers into legends. That shift is this: the moment you stop reacting to life and start creating it from the inside out, you are drifting. Right now, most of you are drifting through your days like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every opinion, every setback, every fleeting emotion. You wake up with no burning desire. You move through your work with no definite aim. You go to bed having built nothing that matters, and you wonder why success eludes you. You wonder why others seem to rise while you remain stuck. The answer is brutal but liberating. You have not yet taken command of your own mind. The poverty you fear is not in your bank account. It is in your thoughts. You have accepted a mental diet of mediocrity, fed to you by a world that profits from your doubt. You listen to the voices that say you are not ready, not worthy, not capable. You let fear of criticism paralyze your boldest ideas. You let indecision rot your opportunities. You procrastinate on the very dreams that could set you free. And all the while, your mind, the most powerful instrument ever created, sits idle, waiting for instruction you refuse to give. Here is what I learned after studying over 500 of the most successful men and women of this century. Every single one of them possessed one common trait: a definite chief aim. Not a wish, not a hope, a burning, all-consuming purpose that became the organizing principle of their entire existence. They did not scatter their energy across a dozen vague ambitions. They focused, they decided, and that decision, held with faith and persistence, moved mountains. Thomas Edison knew this. When he set out to create the incandescent lamp, the world called him a fool. Experts said it could not be done. Investors laughed. Assistants quit. He failed over 10,000 times. 10,000. But here is what separated Edison from every critic who mocked him. He never saw failure. He saw feedback. He saw lessons. He saw the pathway to success, revealing itself one experiment at a time. When asked how it felt to fail so many times, he said he had not failed once. He had simply discovered 10,000 ways that did not work. That is the mind of a master. That is what happens when you refuse to let circumstances dictate your thoughts. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle with frightening clarity. He arrived in America as a poor Scottish immigrant. No wealth, no connections, no advantage except one: an unshakable belief that thoughts are things and that organized planning transforms desire into reality. He studied men, he studied systems, he built a mastermind alliance of the sharpest minds in industry. And he created a fortune so vast that it funded libraries, universities, and institutions that still stand today. He did not inherit success. He thought it into existence. He planned it. He persisted. And the world had no choice but to yield. Henry Ford was told by engineers that his vision for an 8-cylinder engine was impossible. They showed him blueprints. They gave him reasons. They used logic and precedent to prove his dream was foolish. Ford looked him in the eye and said, "Keep working." They protested. He insisted. Months passed. They returned with the same answer: impossible. Ford did not argue. He did not debate. He simply said, "Keep working." And eventually, because his burning desire refused to accept defeat, the impossible became reality. The V8 engine was born, not because the task was easy, but because one man's mind would not bend. These men were not special. They were not chosen by fate. They were ordinary people who made an extraordinary decision to take full, complete, unapologetic control of their thoughts. They understood that the starting point of all achievement is desire, not a faint wish, not a casual interest, a white-hot, relentless desire that consumes you. that drives you from bed before dawn, that keeps you working when others have long since quit. Desire is the fuel. But desire alone is not enough. You must transmute that desire into action. You must feed it daily to your subconscious mind through autosuggestion. You must write down your definite chief aim. You must read it aloud every morning and every night. You must visualize it as already accomplished. You must feel the emotions of having achieved it. And you must back that mental work with physical action, organized and persistent, until the thing you desire has no choice but to materialize in your reality. The subconscious mind does not argue. It does not question. It accepts whatever you feed it and begins to work day and night to bring into your life the equivalent of your dominant thoughts. If you fill your mind with fear, doubt, and lack, that is what you will attract. If you fill it with faith, desire, and expectation, you will begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You will meet the right people. You will stumble upon the right ideas. Coincidences will multiply, but they are not coincidences. They are the natural result of a mind aligned with purpose. Before I continue, answer one question honestly. When was the last time you sat in silence and asked yourself what you truly want? Not what your parents want, not what society expects, not what would impress your neighbors. What do you want so badly that you would endure any hardship to achieve it? If you cannot answer that question, you are not yet awake. If you're still listening, something inside you is waking up. Most people go to their graves with their music still inside them. They never write the book. They never start the business. They never take the risk. Why? Because they wait for permission. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for confidence to arrive before they act. But confidence does not come first. Action comes first. Decision comes first. You decide what you want. You commit to it completely. And then you move. Even if your knees are shaking, even if your mind screams doubt, you move because you know that every step forward builds momentum. And momentum is the bridge between desire and achievement. There was a man who failed in business at 21, lost a legislative race at 22, failed in business again at 24, suffered the death of his sweetheart at 26, had a nervous breakdown at 27, lost a congressional race at 34, lost a senatorial race at 45, failed to become vice president at 47, lost another senatorial race at 49, and at 52, he became president of the United States. His name was Abraham Lincoln. He did not succeed because he avoided failure. He succeeded because he refused to let failure define him. Every setback carried the seed of equal or greater benefit, and he knew it. You have been lied to. You have been told that success requires luck, or privilege, or being in the right place at the right time. That is the excuse of the defeated. Success requires one thing, a mind that refuses to quit. Persistence is the direct result of definiteness of purpose backed by a burning desire. When you know what you want, when you want it with every fiber of your being, when you have decided that you will have it or die trying, nothing can stop you. Not poverty, not criticism, not failure, not fear, nothing. But you must feed that desire. You must protect it like a flame in a storm. The world will try to extinguish it. People will tell you to be realistic. They will call you obsessed. They will warn you about disappointment. Ignore them. They are speaking from their own fear, their own regret, their own defeat. Do not let the limitations of others become your ceiling. Surround yourself with those who believe in possibilities. Form a mastermind alliance of people who support your vision, who challenge you to grow, who hold you accountable to your highest self. No mind is complete by itself. It needs contact and association with other minds to grow and expand. Here is the secret that changes everything. Thoughts are things. Every invention, every fortune, every great work of art began as a thought in someone's mind. The chair you sit on, the roof over your head, the car you drive, All of it was once invisible, intangible, nothing but an idea. Then someone held that idea with faith. They nurtured it. They acted on it, and it became real. You have that same power right now, today. You can think a new thought, hold it with faith, act on it with persistence, and watch your entire life transform. But you must decide. Indecision is the seedbed of fear. Every day you delay, every hour you waver, you are programming your subconscious mind with doubt. You are telling yourself that you are not serious, that your dreams are negotiable, that comfort is more important than growth. Stop it. Make a decision. Decide what you want. Write it down. Commit to it. And then burn the bridges. Give yourself no option but to succeed. When retreat is impossible, advance becomes inevitable. I have seen penniless men become millionaires. I have seen uneducated men build empires. I have seen ordinary people do extraordinary things. And in every case, the transformation began the same way, with a mental shift. They stopped seeing themselves as victims of circumstance. They stopped waiting for life to give them permission. They took control of their thoughts, aligned those thoughts with a definite purpose, and persisted until the world had no choice but to recognize their power. You think success is for other people. You think you are too old, too young, too broke, too uneducated, too something. You are wrong. Age is irrelevant. Circumstances are irrelevant. Education is helpful but not required. The only thing that matters is the quality and intensity of your desire and the persistence with which you pursue it. Everything else is noise. Faith is the starting point. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is confidence born of repeated mental conditioning. You build faith by feeding your mind positive, affirming, purpose-driven thoughts. You build faith by acting as if success is certain, even when evidence suggests otherwise. You build faith by refusing to entertain doubt, by shutting down the inner critic, by protecting your mental environment as fiercely as you would protect your home from intruders. The mind is like soil. It will grow whatever you plant. If you plant seeds of fear, you will harvest fear. If you plant seeds of doubt, you will harvest doubt. But if you plant seeds of faith, desire, and purpose, if you water them daily with visualization and action, you will harvest success. The soil does not care. It simply responds. Your subconscious mind is the same. It does not judge. It does not filter. It accepts and acts. So choose your thoughts carefully. They are building your future, one repetition at a time. Organized planning is the vehicle. Desire is the fuel. Faith is the engine. But you need a map. You need a plan. Not a perfect plan. Not a plan that accounts for every contingency. A simple, clear, actionable plan that moves you toward your definite chief aim. Write down the steps. Break them into small actions. Do one thing today. Do one thing tomorrow. Build momentum. Success is not a leap. It is 1,000 small steps in the same direction. And when obstacles arise, and they will, do not retreat. Do not revise your goal downward to match your current limitations. Revise your plan. Adjust your approach. Find another way. Every adversity carries the seed of equal or greater benefit. That is not a platitude. That is a law. When you face a setback, you are being tested. The universe is asking if you are serious. Most people fail the test. They give up at the first sign of resistance. But you are not most people. You understand that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. You understand that every closed door is redirecting you to the right door. You think it, you feel it, you decide it, you plan it, you act on it, you persist through it, you become it. That is the formula. That is the path. There are no shortcuts. There are no hacks. There is only the unwavering commitment to move forward one day at a time until your burning desire becomes your lived reality. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, the person you could become. not in some distant future, in the next 12 months. Imagine waking up with clarity, with purpose, with a fire in your belly that no setback can extinguish. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing someone who decided, who committed, who refused to quit. Imagine the respect you would feel for yourself. Imagine the life you would build. That person is not a fantasy. That person is waiting for you to choose them. Right now, today. The world is full of people who almost succeeded. People who had the talent, the opportunity, the idea, but lacked the one thing that separates legends from the forgotten: persistence. They quit too soon. They gave up one step before the breakthrough. They let doubt whisper louder than desire. Do not be one of them. Do not let your life be a testimony to what could have been. Let it be a monument to what happens when an ordinary person makes an extraordinary commitment. You have been given the most powerful tool in existence: a mind capable of thought, imagination, decision, and faith. A mind that can transform desire into reality, poverty into wealth, obscurity into influence. But it is a tool. It requires direction. It requires training. It requires daily discipline. You cannot think great thoughts once and expect a great life. You must think them constantly. You must feed your mind the way you feed your body. You must expose it to wisdom, to inspiration, to purpose-driven people and ideas. You must guard it against negativity, against fear, against the soul-crushing mediocrity that masquerades as realism. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Now, right now, as you hear these words, you are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to more of the same: more drifting, more excuses, more regret. The other path leads to a life of purpose, achievement, and fulfillment. A life where you wake up knowing exactly why you are here. A life where you go to bed exhausted but satisfied, knowing you gave everything to your dream. Which path will you choose? The mental shift I spoke of at the beginning is this: you must stop being a thermometer and become a thermostat. A thermometer reacts to its environment. It rises and falls based on external conditions. A thermostat sets the temperature. It decides what the environment will be and makes it so. Most people are thermometers. They let the economy, the news, the opinions of others dictate their mood, their actions, their destiny. But you can be different. You can decide. You can set the standard. You can create the conditions for your success by controlling the one thing you have absolute power over: your thoughts. Riches begin in the mind. Not in the marketplace, not in opportunity, in the mind. When you change your thinking, you change your life. When you take command of your thoughts, you take command of your destiny. And when you combine that mental mastery with a definite chief aim, burning desire, unwavering faith, and relentless persistence, you become unstoppable. Not because the path becomes easy, but because you become strong enough to walk it no matter what. I leave you with this: somewhere inside you, beneath the doubt and the fear and the noise, there is a dream, a vision of who you were meant to be, a purpose that has been calling you since you were young. You have ignored it. You have buried it under practicality and responsibility. But it is still there, still waiting, still possible. The only question is whether you will answer, whether you will decide today to stop drifting and start creating, whether you will finally take the mental shift that transforms everything. If this message spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. And if you want more messages that grow your soul, subscribe, because your journey has just begun.